Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our event, Digging Deep into Data, Data Analysts, Data Scientists, and Picking the Right Path for You. Before we get started, I'd like to go over some very quick housekeeping notes. First, I recommend you turn off any other programs that could potentially take bandwidth, such as Outlook or Instant Messenger. Second, we encourage and enjoy interaction, so please go ahead and submit any questions you have via the chat or Q&A boxes on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll make sure to address those for you. Lastly, we are recording today's session and we will share a copy of the recording sometime after the event. So with that being said, let's get started. I'm Vanessa Wally, Marketing Director here at Logical Operations, and I'm joined by Jon O'Keefe, Technology Education Jedi. He's got an exciting agenda planned for you today, so I'll kick it over to him to begin.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. Jon O'Keefe, Jedi Jon here again with another one of our Trends in Technology Education webinar series. Today, as Vanessa noted, we're going to be digging deep into data. Now, if you attended my last webinar on 2019, the year of data, one of the things that we covered was the Logical Operations Data Science curriculum. And after that webinar, I got a lot of questions about that particular curriculum. So I wanted to put together a presentation that focused a little bit more specifically on data science, data analysts, and what the Logical Operations curriculum can do for you if you're an individual, or how you can offer it if you're a training provider. So with that being said, let's take a look at the agenda here. And I want to remind everyone we have two different types of folks on this webinar today. The first are individuals who are looking at data science or a data analyst as a possible career. And the second, of course, being our Logical Operations customers who may be looking to resell this. So this webinar will take a path that will hopefully engage both of you, both types of you, and at the end we'll bring it all back together for everyone with any questions that we might have. So basically we're going to look at 2019 again, do a quick recap of the year and why it is the year of data. We're going to talk about why data science is the hottest career of the next decade. We're going to take a look finally at Logical Operations Data Science curriculum. We're going to break that down so it's easy to understand. So that way, if you're looking as an individual to take these courses, you'll know exactly what you need to do. And then if you're a training center or academic institution, you'll see the different pathing that we've put together. And then finally, we're going to cover what makes the Logical Operations Data Science curriculum different for students and for training providers. So I will keep saying this, I will keep posting about this, I will keep beating this drum till the end of the year and hopefully into 2020, but 2019 really is the year of data. The Economist magazine has noted that the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data, and 7 of the 10 most valuable companies in the world are built on tying data to human behavior. Now, when I was born in 1980, the world's largest companies were ExxonMobil, General Motors, Ford Motors, IBM, and General Electric. Now, of course, all those companies are still around, but they're not the top companies in the world anymore. Their business model is to take natural resources through a process of manufacturing or refinement, turn them into something, a technology or a consumable resource. But those types of companies aren't the big businesses now we think of when we think of the world's largest companies. And that's because we are actually in the middle of the 4th industrial revolution. And we all know the Industrial Revolution from our history classes. For some of us, that wasn't that long ago. For others, like myself, that was many years ago. But we all have learned about the Industrial Revolution, the rise of factories, the rise of the assembly line, and the rise of automation. And these are things that have changed our world for the better immeasurably. We can now get goods and services created cheaply. We can all have technology in our homes. But the 4th industrial revolution is really about information and how information is being shared. It was coined a few years ago by Klaus Schwab, who's the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And it's all about how data is moving between companies and how that's basically a new economy now. When we think about the world's largest companies, these are now the names that come to mind. You've got Facebook, Google, Amazon, Airbnb, Twitter, and all of these companies, aside from a few different products that they manufacture, make their business on advertising and sharing information. So that's why data is so critical when it comes to the current era that we're in. And that's why we're here learning about what data science is. Because over the next 10 years, these are the top 30 technologies of the next 10 years. And as you can see, all of them, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain and big data, immersive media, cloud computing, health technology, human-computer interaction, faster, better internet, smart cities, all of these things require data, and they require large amounts of data to be understood by individuals and then used in businesses to make smarter decisions. The whole point of AI and IoT and blockchain and big data is for businesses to take this massive amount of information that we have and turn it into something useful, which is why, according to the New Horizon 2019 State of IT Training Report, analytics and business intelligence is one of the top 3 priorities over the next 12 months, along with cloud computing, which of course has to deal with data, and cybersecurity solutions, which of course is about protecting data. So 2019 is the year of data, and that's why data science has come about. Now, I want to pause on this statistic for a second because I think it's really, truly fascinating. I don't know how many people are familiar with what a zettabyte is, but a zettabyte is a billion terabytes. Now, your average computer that you buy at Best Buy or Walmart will have probably a 1 terabyte hard drive in it. So by 2025, it is expected that there will be 175 billion terabytes of data worldwide. And that number is so large that it is almost incomprehensible. It is approximately the same number. Oh, why did that go back? It is approximately the same number as the amount of stars that are in the Milky Way galaxy. And it is also approximately the same number as the amount of grains of sand that there are on the planet Earth. So if you've ever looked up in the sky and seen the infinite amount of stars that are out there, or walked slowly along a beach and wondered how many grains of sand there are, it's the same as amount of terabytes of data that we will have collected in the next 6 years. And that means that there is just an unimaginable amount of data out there. So why is that important? Well, one of the things that human beings have been good at, and one of the reasons we've risen to be the dominant species on this planet, is we have been able, through this particular skill, pareidolia, which is the ability to understand patterns. And early human beings looked up into the night sky, just like this, and were able to make patterns with their minds of different constellations. They looked up, they saw where the stars were, they were able to understand what the stars meant to them, track their movement across the sky, and use that information to change how they were, their migratory patterns, when they would hunt, when they would fish. And that's one of the things that human beings can do that no other species on this planet can do. And so now we stand at an era where instead of looking up at the night sky and trying to make patterns out of it, we're staring into this infinite amount of data, and we now need to understand and make patterns from that, which is why data science has become the hottest career in 2019. Currently, demand for data scientists outpaces supply by 50%. It's been called the sexiest job in the 21st century by Harvard Business Review. Demand is going to continue to soar by another 30%, according to IBM. And one of the data science tools, Tableau, currently has 23,000 open job listings on Indeed.com alone. So from just that knowledge, the knowledge that we're going to have more data than stars in the galaxy, than grains of sand on the earth, and companies need to do something with this data because that's the economy that we live in, you can see how data science is in huge demand. Which is also why it happens to pay very well. Data science was rated by Glassdoor and also by Forbes magazine as the highest paying job for new graduates for entry-level positions. It beat out software engineer, investment banker, software developer, systems engineer as the highest base salary for an entry-level position, which means that even if you've never done data science before, you can still make an absolutely wonderful living doing this. And that's why people are looking to train in it. As you can see here, there is not a single major city where the salary adjusted for the cost of living for a data scientist is under $100,000. So it's clearly a lucrative position and a much in demand position. And both the big data technologies and software, hardware, and professional services like data science professionals are growing at an exponential rate. And these numbers are in billions, by the way. So it's expected that professional services for data science will be around a $40 billion a year industry, while big data software, again, will be around a $80 to $90 billion a year industry in the next 6 years alone. So it's not going away. It's something that's here to stay because we will only be collecting more and more data. And finally, if you possess the skills to be a data scientist, which we're going to cover in just a second, you are the number one hardest to hire competency, which is qualitative ability, working with math, working with statistics, working with numbers inside an organization. It is the largest skills gap. It is the hardest thing for organizations to hire. So, to give you the summary, we're in an economy that values data. There's more data than there's ever been in previous recorded human history. Human beings have a unique talent for seeking out patterns in otherwise random numbers and events. And organizations need data scientists, which is why they're paying them very well and are struggling to find them and hire them. So that's an economy that is ripe for both individuals who are looking to become data scientists and training providers who want to offer training to all of those job seekers out there who are clamoring for this type of information. So with that being said, let's get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of what data science and data analysts are, what they do, what kind of skills you need for them. So if you've been waiting to see kind of which role is perfect for you inside of an organization, this is it. So there are two different types of data practitioners inside most organizations. I'm generalizing slightly, but these roles typically you'll find in any medium to large size company and even some small companies. The first is what's called a data analyst. Data analysts typically take structured data. So data that's already been refined, already has some consistent values to it. And they work with charts, they work with programs like Excel, Tableau, and Power BI, and they create visualizations or stories that are easy for business executives to then make decisions from. They're typically skilled in statistics. They understand some data management. They might know a little SQL. They're good at communicating with their fellow employees because they have to share out what they've visualized and determined. And they typically will have decent business knowledge because they're not operating within a vacuum. They're trying to make sense, usually business sense, of these types of technologies. Now, a data analyst is not the same thing as a data scientist. So I want to be clear about that. But a data analyst has typically a lower starting salary, but also a much lower barrier of entry. Their average entry salary is around $60,000, but there's less training involved to become a data analyst. Data scientists are typically doing full projects. They're taking unstructured, uncollated, unmanageable data, and they're writing software applications using a variety of programming languages like Python, Hadoop, TensorFlow, MATLAB, and they're creating this unstructured, unwieldy data, and they're starting to find the patterns in it. So they're really, truly the early man looking up in the night sky, trying to make patterns out of what they see so they can go back and tell their families, okay, when the stars align this way, it's time for us to move because that means it's going to start getting colder again. Data scientists also need strong skills in mathematics. They're going to need a good bit of programming. They're going to need to know the technologies involved in visualization because they'll be passing a lot of data off to data analysts. And they need to be able to communicate because, again, even though they're doing full projects end to end, the purpose of these projects is typically to help guide a business decision. Programs that they're going to use very heavily are Python or R, which are two different programming languages, with Python being the most popular. They will need to know SQL, NoSQL, other database storaging methods. Like I said, they'll need to know TensorFlow, Hadoop, MATLAB, some other programming languages, but the most important being Python and R, because those are the two most popular languages that data scientists use. Now, we've seen the numbers already for their salaries. Their average entry salary is around $95,000, with typical salaries being over $100,000 in major cities when adjusted for cost of living. So it's a great career, and it's the sexiest job in the 21st century. But it is a little harder. You need some more analytical programming desire to become a data scientist. And what Logical Operations has done is we've created a training curriculum that can help anyone start from the basics and work all the way through to becoming a business level data scientist. Now, I'll dig into what that means a little bit later, but when I say business level data scientist, I'm referring to having practical knowledge of the main technologies that you would use on a day-to-day basis inside of an organization. I'm not talking about a PhD in data science and data ethics and prescriptive analytics, where you're primarily working on theory. I'm talking about everyday hands-on technologies. The same way you would train for an IT help desk job or a network security job or an accounting job, this is a program that is hands-on around the technologies that you need to learn. So let's dig a little deeper into what that looks like. For your data analyst path, you're going to see 3 different software programs and 3 different certifications that are offered. The first, of course, is Excel, which we'll dig into in a second, and the second and third are Tableau and Power BI, respectively. Each one of those has an industry-recognized certification with them. And if you were to do all of the training on the screen in front of you right now, you would be recognized as a data analyst through Logical Operations, and you would qualify to become a data analyst, as I just spoke about. Now, if you're more keen on the programming and the project end to end, as well as, of course, the higher base salary, this is the data science component of it. And as you can see, you pick a programming language between Python and R, and then you would choose electives based on your personal interest. And currently the program has database management, data wrangling, statistics, and data privacy. So from there, once you complete these programs, you would be recognized by logical operations as an official data scientist. And from that position, you would be in a business case to go inside an organization, start working with specific tool sets that they're using, and start your career as a data scientist. Now, for those of you that maybe are coming at this from a career-changing perspective, or if you're a training center and you're looking at running a full program on this, these two things can be put together, of course, to create a full curriculum that will take someone from basic Excel use all the way through database design, data wrangling with Python, understanding big data analytics in a short course of time. It can be done as in short as in 3 weeks if you're looking at a boot camp style type scenario. Now I want to dig a little bit deeper into what's covered in each of these programs so we have a full understanding. I know everybody probably knows what Excel is. The reason it's so important here, and I recently attended a Tableau webinar all about how Tableau can really spice up and help you make your Excel game a lot stronger, is that Microsoft Excel is still the cornerstone of almost every major organization and how they handle data in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's just to feed data into an analytics or a visualization engine, or it's being used as more of a comprehensive solution, you'd be hard-pressed to find an organization that doesn't have people using Excel in it. Obviously, we all know what Excel looks like. And Excel, well organized, can be a great tool for getting your company, quickly up to speed by understanding your data. But what Excel doesn't give you is a true, clear story at a simple glance. If you're an Excel expert, you can probably look at a spreadsheet, something like I have in front of us here, and within a few seconds figure out exactly what's going on. You may not necessarily know the end results of it, but you can look here and see that, all right, this looks like some sort of financial spreadsheet. It's got deferred taxes, capital, sales, royalties, income. I don't know what BS 900 is, IS 100, IS 105. I'm guessing whatever businesses this is probably knows what those are. But if I were to stand back from this, with limited knowledge, I would look and I would see a lot of numbers and I would see a lot of codes, but I wouldn't necessarily know what any of it means. And it's really up to the Excel expert to kind of turn it into a story, which can be difficult when you're dealing with just Excel. So that's why organizations like Tableau and Power BI, Power BI is obviously Microsoft, and Tableau is Salesforce. And so these two organizations have built what are called data visualization programs. Data visualization is taking the data out of Excel or other sources and turning it into a picture, a story, something that anyone can understand just by looking at it. And those types of software applications have become so popular in the last 5 years that this year Salesforce bought Tableau. Tableau has been around since the early 2000s to give themselves a data visualization program. Tableau had already amassed over 75,000 customers. Power BI has over 100,000 customers. So between these two, Salesforce and Microsoft, one of these two software programs is likely in every business that's out there. And that's why they're ranked so high on the Gartner Magic Quadrant. They're really the only two out there that are in the leaders and visionary space And so they're the two major players in data visualization. So from there, if you were to learn Excel, Tableau, and Power BI, you would be in the perfect spot to become a data analyst. Now, I think it's really important because the numbers here are quite high. When I say an average entry salary of $60,000, I mean it. When I say that it's a great position and a huge future career for you, I absolutely mean it. There is every shred of evidence to indicate that data science, data analysts are going to continue to grow in demand over the next 10 years. But it's not a career that's going to be right for everyone. And there are some points of entry that contain barriers. First of all, if you don't love statistics, if you don't love looking at complex data sets, if you don't love it looking at things that are complicated and trying to make sense of them, data science may not be the right career for you. One of the things that I always think of is when you get a piece of IKEA furniture, there are some people that love to look at instructions and figure out how is this all going to come together? How do all these little individual pieces come together to form my table or my chair? And then there are some of us out there who don't really care about the instructions. We just want to see the finished product. If you're an instructions kind of person, if you think to yourself, boy, building a chair sounds really fun, then let me tell you, I have the job for you. And that's a data analyst, because that's really what you're doing. You're taking all of this stuff on the floor in front of you, and you're going to turn it into a beautiful piece of furniture, a beautiful piece of art that you're going to share with your organization. And they're going to come back 6 months later and say, remember that heat map you created for us in Tableau? We had no idea that our sales were slowing down on the West Coast in August and September. And we did an extra marketing push in those 2 months, and we increased our sales by 15%. That's the kind of impact you can have on a business being a data analyst. You're also, of course, going to earn a great salary, $60,000 plus based on your experience, and you're going to really be able to work with lots of groups inside an organization. This isn't the same as like a software developer who works in a dark room with the lights off writing code all day. This is the kind of person that's going to be outgoing and friendly, love doing complicated things and putting them together, and really building a story for an organization. So if that sounds good to you, boy, do we have the training ready for you with Excel, Tableau, and Power BI. Now, if you say, John, that sounds great, but I really also want to program. I really want to dig in. I love the idea of finding patterns. I'm the kind of person that wants to do a jigsaw puzzle and put it all together and really understand what this picture is supposed to be. Then data science is a great career choice for you. Now, the first things you're going to need to do to become a data scientist is you're going to need to know some programming. If you have some basic programming experience with older languages like C, or you've done some stuff in maybe Java or C#, that's great. If you've never done any programming, we can teach you the most popular programming language, which is Python or R, but I would typically recommend Python as a programming language. Now, from Python perspective, there's a bunch of things that you're going to need to learn. First is that it's the most used programming language, so you're going to need to make sure that your Python skills are strong because it's just continuing to grow in popularity for data scientists. Obviously, it's in demand. Having Python programming skills are great for job openings, even if data science doesn't end up being your particular cup of tea. And there's obviously great pay associated with it. But within Python, there are three very, very important skills. The first is you have to learn NumPy. Second is Matplotlib, and the third is Pandas. And these are all development repositories and containers within Python that will help you build and code data science projects. Now, you may say to yourself, I've done some programming, but I've never heard of these three things. Well, the logical operations curriculum teaches these types of skills and can help prepare you for data science. It'll bring about a strong bit of Python knowledge that will get you exactly what you need from a hands-on perspective. And I want to make that very clear. We're not going to teach you programming through understanding other people's code. We're going to teach you hands-on programming where you're going to build your own GitHub portfolio of training because it's really important for you to have that. Then, once you've learned and mastered Python through the Python courses available through Logical Operations, you would go on to choose one of your electives. You may be interested in database design, how information is stored, how to query it from a SQL query or NoSQL. You may be interested in learning data wrangling, which is taking all of this data that's unstructured and putting it together into a comprehensive picture that then you can either visualize pass along to the data analysts. You may be interested in statistics, big data analysis, data science projects, understanding what exactly these predictive and prescriptive modeling that you've been created are doing. All of these things are very important. And lastly, you may also be interested in data privacy, which is a strong component, of course, of understanding data and data science is how do we keep it private? How do we keep people's information safe? So once you choose one of those electives, you're going to really be working on a large GitHub portfolio of code. And one of the things that's most in demand right now when you're doing an interview for any type of data science job is not necessarily where you went to school, not necessarily what theory you know. It's what code can you bring to the table? And through this program, you're going to have a large GitHub portfolio that shows that you can communicate, collaborate, and focus on technical competence. And you're going to have all of these various projects that you've done in this curriculum available to show prospective employers so they can see exactly what you're capable of. So data scientists, let's be very real here. If you don't like the idea of learning Python, like the idea of programming, and honestly like the idea of continued development well beyond this program, I'm not sure data science would be the right career for you. But if you love the idea of getting in and writing code and having these programs created that can help businesses make critical decisions, that can help organizations understand all of this data they have, then I would strongly suggest looking at data science as a possible career. You're going to need to know Tableau and Power BI just to get started because those are programs you'll most likely be engaging with up the chain when you pass along your projects. You need to love mathematics. You need to love programming and coding. You need to love problem solving and guessing and knowing when a curve is going to occur in your data using predictive and prescriptive analytics. From all of that, of course, you're going to be participating in the sexiest job in the 21st century. You're going to earn an amazing living, and you're going to be guiding and shaping businesses' decisions for the next decade or more. So you've seen this curriculum, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, I browse Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm interested in data science, maybe I'm on Data is Beautiful on Reddit, I think it's really cool. But I see ads all the time for data science programs. MIT will try and sell me one, Stanford will try and sell me one, University of Pennsylvania will try and sell me one. And what's different about the logical operations curriculum? Well, first, we're talking about practical real-world skills and technologies. These are not theory courses. They aren't, let's talk about a project and try and understand why it happened that way. These are, let's build something. Let's get our hands on something. Let's understand the exact skills necessary to do something. We're working specifically with the essential technologies that industry experts point to every time you talk about data science. We're working with Tableau and Power BI. We're working with Python. We're working with SQL. We're working with the International Association of Privacy Professionals around data privacy. All of these are industry-leading technologies and certifications that are recommended across the world. And finally, you're going to have that GitHub portfolio of coding work that you've done, that you've explored, and that you can bring to any job interview out there. Or if you're a training provider, that you can know that your students are walking out of your building on their way to a great job placement and a great review for you. So, what are the next steps? Well, if you're an individual attending this, I really appreciate your time, and I would encourage you to contact your local training center. My contact information is going to come up on the next slide. And if you don't know who that is, if you've always been interested about taking your career to the next step, I want you to contact me directly, and I can put you in touch with one of our training providers who is offering this curriculum and making sure that you get the best experience possible. Now, if you're on the other side of the coin and you're an LO training content provider, you work with us currently to get your training content, and you think, man, this program sounds great. I really want to be able to offer this. Contact your sales rep, contact me. Again, my information was at the beginning. It will be at the end here on the next slide. I want to make sure that you get everything that you need to go to get this program started for you, because there are so many people out there looking for data science training. And if you're not offering a data science program, you're missing out on potential students who could be inside your building right now, sitting down in your classroom, learning from your instructors. And with that, I'd like to open this up to any questions anyone might have. And again, my contact information is there. Please don't hesitate to email me at jedijon@logicaloperations.com or give me a call at 585-350-7073. Whether you're an individual or a training center or an academic institution or even an instructor, I'd love to hear from you and get you started on this.
Great. Thanks so much, John. As he mentioned, we'd like to open it up for questions. So please go ahead and submit any you might have in the chat or Q&A boxes on the right-hand side of your screen. I do see a few there to start us off, so I will cover those right now. First question that came in, what's the average cost for a program like this?
Oh, all right. You're going to put me on the spot right away, huh? Okay, guys. It's going to depend. If you do your market research, you can find programs like this that start around $2,500 or so, and go all the way up to $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000. It's going to depend on what they're offering. Now, as we discussed, a lot of these classes are theory-based. Ours is more technical acumen, actual technologies you're working on, and ours, of course, in my opinion, based on the market research I've done, is on the lower end of the cost spectrum. That's going to be up to the individual training centers, but I believe that our curriculum is competitively priced. It's got great value to it, and there's strong evidence to support that these technologies are the number one thing you need to learn in order to land a career in data science. But the long answer to your short question is anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000, depending on where you're looking at.
Got it. Thanks, John. Another question that came in, can you cover the difference between your program and other program options again?
Sure. Like I keep saying, we're really focused on hands-on technologies. We want you to be learning the industry-leading tech that's associated with data science. There is value, of course, in learning things like data ethics and understanding how data decisions should not be driven by implicit bias. I would love to spend all day talking about those topics, but I don't necessarily think they lead to a business looking to hire you, because when an IT team goes to hire an IT individual, they want to know exactly what skills they bring to the table. They don't want to know if they've read 1,000 articles about the ethical implications of using an SSH key biometric system that uses facial recognition. They want to know if they can administer that system. They don't want to know if there's a bias behind using facial recognition. And I believe talking to data science professionals who have been in the industry, that the most important thing you can learn is these specific skills. And I'm talking Tableau, Power BI, Python, SQL. These are the number one skills you need to be a data scientist. So that's really the difference between our programs and everything else I've looked at. Their theory, we're practical, hands-on. We're going to get you a job.
Great. Thanks, John. Another question that just came through. Does an individual have to take this training through a training center, or can the courses be purchased directly through Logical Operations?
Well, Logical Operations is not in the business of offering training. All of the curriculum is available through Logical Operations. So if you were looking to self-study and learn this on your own, the curriculum is all available currently through Logical Operations. I firmly believe that people learn best from people. I've always, whenever I've self-studied for anything, and I'm going to be honest, I'm a self-studier. I am. It's something that I do, but I can only get so far self-studying. The best way for me is I want to learn a little bit on my own, then I want to have an expert show me. And so I believe people learn best from people. Logical Operations believes people learn best from people. I think that the best thing to do if you want to learn this type of curriculum is to work with a training center that provides it. But again, that being said, all of the curriculum is currently available through Logical Operations, and one could self-study through it.
Got it. Thanks, John. Another question that came in, how would I know which path is right for me?
Oh, well, I don't want to tell anybody existentially what they should be doing with their lives, but I really believe that if you love the idea of creating and communicating and helping businesses make smart decisions, but you're scared of programming, or programming may not be something that's ever entered into your mind, then I think a data analyst is the right position for you. Because that's what you'll do. You'll take the data from data scientists and you'll turn it into something beautiful. You'll turn it into an image that a CEO is just going to sit back in their chair and go, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And that's just not possible with a spreadsheet. So that's data analyst to me. If you want to be a data scientist, you've got to think about a black screen with a lot of words on it and programming and all of that. You've got to really want to learn programming. You've got to really want to dig deep into that. But that being said, you're also going to create there. You're going to make programs. You're going to take raw data, things that nobody would have ever thought to put together. Like the fact that in San Francisco, if they have an app that helps people find parking faster based on small IoT cameras in the lamps, then they'll save 25% annually on road repair costs because people will be driving around less looking for parking spaces. And somebody had to build a program that took all of those images coming in and make it so that they could alert drivers driving around through an app that there's a parking space near them available. So lastly, to close, I just want to, go back to the data analyst and the data scientist thing. I think that organizations could absolutely benefit from this type of training in multiple different disciplines. Most organizations have analysts in all their different departments, like financial analysts, sales analysts, production analysts, marketing analysts, and all of them are looking to do this data analyst type of role, just geared towards, of course, whether it's sales or marketing or production. So there's a lot of jobs out there that could give you that, and all of them would really benefit from this type of training. And for the most part, inside organizations right now, if you're a training center and you're listening to this, all of your customers that are coming in to take Excel are probably doing it because they're in some sort of analyst role. They're a power user inside an organization. They're the one who's responsible for taking some raw data and putting it into a basic chart or a spreadsheet. And then, of course, they get together with the sales team and they'll sit around and try and figure out what it means. And many of those organizations are now stepping into both Power BI and Tableau. If they're a Salesforce shop, which most places are, they're going to use Tableau. If they're a Microsoft shop, they'll probably use Power BI or some combination of both. But that's the data explosion. That's the data renaissance. That's why 2019 is the year of data, and why data scientists are the sexiest jobs that you can have, because this is what's leading everything for the next 10 years.
Very good. Thank you so much, John. I don't see any new questions coming in. So as a reminder, we will share a link to the recording sometime after today's event. And thank you so much, John.